Hal Jordan a Green Lantern villain again? What's up, my fellow Wednesday Warriors? This is your boy Marcus the Conqueror, back to conquer another in-depth comic book review. Today, let's discuss Absolute Green Lantern Issue 1 by writer Al Ewing and artist Janoy Lindsay. This issue debuts with horror elements as a troubled Hal Jordan walks the highway of the Nevada desert. He tells himself he must be without fear, repeating the sayings of a disembodied Black Ring. As he admits he's terrified, a sheriff pulls up, concerned about Hal walking in the desert heat. After he stumbles over his words, the sheriff notices Hal has his left hand stuffed in his pocket. He urgently demands its contents be revealed. After Hal fails to communicate, the sheriff draws his weapon. Immediately, Hal warns the officer, telling him his name and that he's from Evergreen, Nevada, and that something horrible has happened there. Absolute Hal's hometown is his first distinction from the original Hal. The latter is from Coast City. Upon Hal mentioning Abin Sur, the alien that was a Green Lantern on Prime Earth, the officer yells again, and then we get a black panel. Next, the sheriff disappears. In his stead are a smoking crater and Hal walking off, muttering apologies. Following this incident, the stunned Hal enters a diner where an emergency broadcast appears on TV. It reveals that a vast Green Lantern symbol has suddenly fallen in Evergreen, Nevada. Afraid, the diners ask each other what's happening and who's responsible. We then enter a flashback from 5 days before. Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and this title's main character, Sojourner Joe Moline, are sharing a meal at a restaurant in Evergreen. We don't get enough of my girl Joe in this issue, but I know Al is writing for the trade, so I'll trust the process. Through this conversation, we find that Hal is a collectibles dealer, a sharp difference from his occupation as a pilot in main continuity. John is still an architect. Joe is a former police officer of the Evergreen Police Department and a recent divorcee. She recently returned to Evergreen from Coast City after her divorce. The roar of a biker gang racing up the street interrupts their conversation. Hal becomes a Karen and suggests they call Guy Gardner, chief of the Evergreen PD and the most hated Green Lantern in main continuity, to ensure their speeding doesn't hurt anyone. Joe shuts down the idea, saying she and Guy share some tension after he tried to persuade her to rejoin Evergreen PD. She says if Guy doesn't understand why she left the force, then he warranted the scolding she gave him. The incident that made Absolute Joe quit could be similar to the hate crime her Prime Earth counterpart witnessed that led her to resign. Hal then inquires why Joe returned to Evergreen, and if her experience there was so bad, especially her marriage, why she was still wearing her wedding ring. So far, Absolute Hal is just as messy as the Prime Earth version, but in different ways. Suddenly, one of the bikers on the road smashes into the outside of a vast green dome, deleting him upon impact. Joe, Hal, and John find the dome envelop them and a large portion of the town. As the deceased biker's friends drive away from their fallen friend, the trio notice a giant Green Lantern symbol above them. Amidst the center is Abin Sur, looking like Super Boo from Dragon Ball Z, glaring down at them. This form is a significant departure from what Sur looks like in main continuity. We then return to the present where history repeats itself. Hal says Abin Sur called the construct that covered Evergreen the Green Lantern. With a tear rolling down his cheek, he takes responsibility for what happened. The diner's customers, shook, demand Hal reveal what is in his left pocket where his hand remains stuffed. As the waitress reaches for a weapon under the counter and Hal attempts to leave, a patron yanks his hand out, revealing that a black aura surrounds it. Suddenly, the man is suspended in the air, encased in black. As Hal explains that the power that possessed his hand responds to danger and that he's trying to restrain it, the waitress shoots him. At that moment, the black aura devastates the diner. Instead of the wound terminating him, as Hal prayed it would, his hand heals it. Finally, doorbells cling as Joe, emitting a green aura, appears in the doorway, looking for Hal. As aforementioned, this issue disappointed me by not providing enough Joe Moline. Why do we see so much of Hal Jordan if this is her book? However, from Ewing's incredible Immortal Hulk run, I understand he likes starting his stories slowly and letting them build pace. This book may be a title to collect and read in 6-issue increments or trade wait for. I enjoyed the eerie horror elements of this book. Reprising Hal Jordan as a possible villain, albeit unwillingly, is fun. Making him an incarnation of Black Hand, one of the most lethal characters in his Rose Gallery, is genius. What impressed me the most about this issue was Jonoi Linz's art. It possesses strong anime and manga influences. I look forward to picking up some of his art at a future con. Despite not being entirely pleased with this issue, I anticipate the next one and encourage you to pick this one up. I give this issue a 7.5 out of 10. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Peace.